Going. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jason Camelio. I'm from the Office of Global Initiatives at Berklee, and thank you for joining us. I'm joined by the Associate Director Amanda Goldthorpe and our Assistant Director Ray Soul for this edition of Berklee Week at the Rimon School. We obviously had hoped that we could be with all of you in person, and but we're really appreciative of the time that we have to be with you remotely. This session is being recorded and it will be available online. So Zoom rules are going to apply, during the presentation for our honored guests. We ask that you, just keep yourself muted, and then we'll bring you on for the feedback sessions and for Q&A. And then obviously, you're going to be able to go back and check this out afterwards. Please, if you're a teacher, you'll be able to share it with your students. And obviously, if your friends weren't able to join the session, you can share the link out to them as well. In the chat, I also wanted to throw this link in. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a resources page where you can go and get all kinds of cool information about Berklee and our global partners. The Rimon School of Jazz and Contemporary Music is a founding member of our global network, and we're so appreciative to have President Yehuda Eder here with us. The Rimon School is stellar. It is world-class. We are incredibly fortunate to have them as a leading partner. The students who come to us from the Rimon School, and many of you know this because you're studying there, are among the very best in the world. And they come to us and study with us in Boston, our campus in Valencia, Spain. Hopefully soon we'll be seeing some of them at our campus in New York City. And maybe soon we'll have the Rimon School collaborating with our new center, the Berklee Abu Dhabi Center, as well. Woo. So those are all places that you can learn about Berklee and the great things that Berklee is doing in the world. Today, we've got an awesome session. For those of you that were here yesterday, we had Janine Cowan, our acting assistant chair of film scoring, doing a killing session on video game music, which was mind-blowing. And I know that our guest today is going to take us down the path as well for some really cool things. She's a songwriter, an arranger, producer, pianist, and vocalist. She's got touring credits around the world. She's actually been an on-the-road teacher for Berklee. She does auditions and interviews for Berklee as well. And she's recorded with artists like Nora Jones, Carole King, Raul Midon. Her original songs can be heard on television shows, including MTV's Made. She's been a finalist for the Song of the Year contest. She's a graduate of Boston University, has a master's degree in music ed and teaching courses on songwriting, harmony, ear training, arranging, and stage performance. I think, Sarah, you're also teaching at Berklee Online, correct?
I am, yeah, and I wrote a class. I wrote a class for Berklee Online as well.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Sarah Brindell. Take it away, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
Sarah, I just thank you so much for coming and being with us. You have fantastic energy, and thank you. Great, thanks so much.
Thanks, Yehuda. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for that lovely introduction. That was really glowing and sweet. I am so excited to be here today with all of you. And I really wanted to start today with a writing session because I find that it's beneficial to not just run these workshops with critique or lecture. Those styles are great, but I find that it's really useful if we're going to talk about songwriting, let's write, a little bit. Let's do some writing. So my favorite thing to do is in class exercises that are geared towards finding ideas towards your next song. So it's not like the exercise I'm about to give you, I'm expecting you to write a song right there. It's not what the goal is right now. It's to gather ideas, because there are 4 phases of writing. The gathering phase, the incubation phase, which is more like when you're just kind of marinating the ideas, not really sure where you're going with them yet. The flow, the outpouring, which is also something I want to help you with, and the editing process. So those are fluid. They move back and forth a lot of times, but what really I want to help you with today is the gathering phase, gathering ideas, getting into that state of flow, sort of like just pouring out ideas for a second. Without judgment or sort of, discretion or what are you saying? I don't know, just say it, get it out. Don't think about it. And then the editing phase will come in when I think I'll probably have time for maybe 2 song critiques today. So I'm going to randomly pick two of the YouTube links that I have, share the audio and listen, and then give some feedback to the room. So that's how we will end today. But what we're going to start off with is a writing exercise. So I would like everyone to get a way to do some writing. What's the easiest way for you to flow out a bunch of words? We're going to start with words only. And this is literally just about gathering ideas. So I'm going to walk you through an exercise. And even if you're not a songwriter or you're here just kind of observing, I think that this exercise is highly therapeutic. So you might want to join in just for the writing session, just because it's good for you. So feel free to join us, whoever is here. It makes me feel better when the whole room is actually actively involved. So I appreciate it if you're going to stick around to participate. So basically, you all get to have your own separate little spaces where you're on mute and you can be as loud and boisterous as you want with your ideas, which is great. Because in the classroom live, here I am in a Berklee classroom right now, the students they can't really emote outwardly with their melodies or their ideas because they might infringe on someone else's idea when we're having these writing exercises. So often I put them in separate spaces or try to find other rooms and stuff. So this is great because you all have your own separate little spaces to work. And so the first thing we're going to do is do a stream of consciousness writing exercise. So I'm going to ask everyone to, I'm copying and pasting stuff in the chat. So keep your chat window open. The first thing I'd like you to do is pick an object or an image that immediately evokes an emotion. It might help to close your eyes for a second you can turn off your video in this process because this is a little bit personal or vulnerable of a moment. So if you don't want to have your video on for this writing session, that's totally fine. So what you're going to do is pick an object or an image that immediately evokes an emotion for you. And that could be something from your own past, something that never happened to you, but just evokes an emotion anyway. It could be the story of a friend, could be a completely fabricated idea. But the point is that when you think of that object or image, whatever it is, you immediately feel something. And so let's talk for a second about emotions, because we all have them, but then to actually name them, it's like, what do you mean emotions? Well, okay. I always think of that. There's a movie that came out, at least in the States. I'm not sure that it came out in Israel too, but this movie called Inside Out, which was an animated film about the inner workings of the brain of a little girl. And there were all these different embodied emotions that sort of duked it out and fought over who got control of her mind when. And so the different emotions in that movie always helped me remind me of different emotions. So in that movie, we had joy, we had fear, disgust, anger. I mean, there's other emotions too, sadness. How about comfort or arousal even, or there's other emotions out there. Some of my students have even said confusion felt like an emotion for them. So you can add to that list that I put in the chat if you want to, but the idea is that you're searching in your mind for some kind of image that immediately evokes maybe several emotions. So for example, what I like to use for an example for this exercise is my grandmother's chair, which was a chair this chair was in my grandmother's house outside of Chicago. That house was in the family since 1959. She died in 2011. So that house was sold so I can't go back and see this chair anymore. So I have to only imagine it in my mind. And this house that I would always come back to as a child, I would sit in the chair with her and she would read to me. And that feeling, I can imagine myself in that moment, right, of being in the chair with my grandmother. And what am I feeling? Well, I feel comfort because, I'm that little girl again in the moment with her and she's reading me these words, but I also feel sadness because I miss my grandmother and, she's now been gone for over 10 years. But the point being, it can be several emotions. So it can be a very mundane object. It does not have to be something super interesting or different. Does everyone feel like they have the object they want to use for this? Now that I've talked enough at you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What I would like you to do now, I'm copying and pasting the next thing in the chat. What I would like you to do now is you're going to do a stream of consciousness writing exercise. And this is going to last for 10 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. And what you're going to do, this is not a moment where I'm expecting anyone to write song lyrics or write a full song. It's a chance to just blurt out a bunch of stuff on a page. And what I'd like you to do is, in stream of consciousness style, tell the story around the object. And what I mean by that is I want you to consciously put yourself in the environment of the object or image that you chose. It doesn't have to be an object. It could be like fire, which is more like an element, right? It's not really an object. So put yourself in the environment of the object or image and ask yourself these questions in the stream of consciousness writing episode. I'd like you to ask yourself these questions. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? What do I touch? What do I feel inside my body? Like, is my heart beating fast? Do I have a headache? And what do I feel outside my body? Like, what is the environment around me? How is that affecting my body? Okay, so that's the standpoint I want you to write from for 10 minutes. This session is stream of consciousness means you're not worried about making sense. You're not worried about anybody else seeing these words. This is your journal session. So this is you just like throwing up words on the page with abandon, and let go of that inner critic or the fear of saying something weird or stupid. I want you to be as weird as possible, be out of chronological order as possible. Don't worry about complete sentences. The only wrong thing you can do right now is to not write. So that's the only thing that would be wrong here. Everything else is correct. So I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and I'd like you to tell the story around the object or the image that you chose. Does anybody have any questions before we begin that 10-minute writing exercise?
No. No, we don't. Really don't. We actually have a similar exercise in my songwriting course.
Nice.
My 7. So it's a great one. I explained it completely different than you, but it's the same exercise. So it's beautiful.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, this is going to move into another one after this. So we should get going. So I'm going to set a timer right now, and ready. I'm going to turn my video off for a second. I am here if you have questions. I'm just going to grab my actual timer and set it. All right, ready, go.
Okay.
Okay, wrap it up in the next 10 seconds or so. Finish the last couple of words you have to say. I'm actually going to share my screen now, and once you're done wrapping up the words, I'd like you to look at this document, which is actually my example of using my grandmother's chair in a free write. So I call it a free write. When you're speaking from a sense bound or using your senses, like asking yourself, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? These questions, it moves you more into the direction of what we like to call an object write. It's a style of free stream of consciousness writing where you're really focusing on your senses. I didn't want to bog us down too much with having to be in the senses, but I think that often sense-bound writing can really be a great way to relate and find interesting ways of relating to people with lyrics. So what we're doing right now with the words, I want you to imagine, look at my words. You have absolutely no attachment to my words, right? They're just on this page. Imagine that these words are like a pile of dirty laundry in front of you. Okay, you're just like a bunch of random words on a page. And you have no attachment to anything that you see here because these are not your words. These are my words. So you don't even know what these say. I want you to now, I think maybe this would be best if we use the chat because there's so many of you. So if you see a song title idea, any song title ideas buried in the writing somewhere, like a 1-word, a 2-word, up to 7-word statement within this writing that you find, wow, that would be an interesting main idea or title idea for a song. Ooh, sink down. That's nice, Jason. I like that. So you guys are doing my work for me right now. Gathering my ideas for me. So sink down is a good one. Ooh, toil of summer. These are ones that I've never gotten before. I've used this maybe once or twice before, this exercise. That's interesting that I've never gotten. That's a cool one. Toil of summer. I am home is fun, right? Because that kind of gives you this feeling of like, maybe that would be an elongated note that you sang there. I'm home. you know, dancing to the words is beautiful. I also really enjoyed Ramona's Dreams. I feel like that might be an interesting title. So Journey with Her, beautiful. Yeah. Center of the story. There's a bunch of different moments on here. Even Leave the Station. That's kind of an interesting idea when I look at that, or Sleepy Bodies, right? So there's all these just little moments that are like, what you're looking for is here's a pile of dirty laundry in front of you, and there's one little tiny gold ring in a pocket somewhere, and you've got to find it, right? That little tiny gold ring is in some jeans pocket in this pile, and you've got to search for it. Okay, so that is what I want you to do. You had no attachment to my words. You just saw them and there they were, right? And you came out with some beautiful song titles. I love 1959. Falling Over is great. It's really open to interpretation, could move in a lot of different directions, which is great. I think not always are song titles working well when they're more sort of open or all-encompassing statements, but often they work well like that. So now I want you to turn to your own writing and do exactly the same thing. I would like you to make a list of, let's say, 3 to 5 song title ideas based on the just extracting 1 or 2 words at a time off of the writing. So you're looking for those little tiny moments where it's just popping off the page at you. It's like, oh, that's a moment of inspiration I can snag and write down separately. Write the words separately and make a list for yourself too of a bunch of just random moments in the writing that go, oh, that would be a really cool song title. Or maybe it's not exactly the right wording, but it's like just the idea, and that's fine too. I'm going to give you about a minute or 2 to try that. Any questions about that? All right. Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to move forward. Normally, I like to give a little bit more time to do that, but we want to make sure that we get time for some song critiques. So now I'd like you to, I wrote this in the chat, from your list of song title ideas that you just found, maybe you just found 2, that's okay. Pick one that you'd like to use for this exercise. So we're going to do a little bit more with this. So we're not just gathering ideas, we're going to suss out one idea a little bit. So pick one that resonates with you the most. And when you're choosing the one, think about, actually, could I write, I love the idea of Ramona's Dreams. That for me is a really interesting idea. But then I think about, like, well, what would this song be about? Could I actually write a full song about that idea? So do check in with yourself about that. You know, is it just a cool kind of witty or cool idea, or is it something that you could actually use as a main theme to a whole story or a message or a moment for a song? I'll give you a few seconds to pick one. I know it's hard to pick. You can always come back and pick other ideas later and do this again on your own. So pick one of them. Once you pick one, I'm going to keep going just for the sake of time. I want you to ask yourselves, what is this song about? So, like, if you, these are just words right now, right? You just pick some words. Okay. What would the song actually be about around those words? Who would be talking? Who would they be talking to? And why? What would be the message or the conundrum or the conflict or the conclusion of the song? Sort of just thinking about, gathering in some ideas towards that. Just think about that. What is this song about? Okay, for a second, as you're picking the one that you want to use. The next thing I'd like you to do after that is you're going to speak the song title words aloud in a rhythm. So this is great because nobody can hear you, right? So you're all at your own space. And so if you feel silly doing this, it's fine because nobody's watching. So what I'd like you to do is pick the title that you're going to use and find different ways that you can speak it aloud in rhythm. It doesn't mean you have to rap. It just means that you have to explore the natural inflections of words for a second without necessarily jumping into a melody. Because the thing is, when you just focus on rhythm, lyric rhythm, what happens is you might find different ideas that way than immediately starting to sing. There's going to be different ideas that come out from speaking. So that's why I'm asking you to do that first. So for an example, if I were picking something from my list, Toil of Summer was kind of fun. I liked Toil of Summer. So if I were going, I could do it in different ways. I'm just going to set a tempo. If I think about the tempo, would that be kind of a peppy tempo? Maybe toil of summer, toil of summer, toil of summer, toil of summer, toil of summer. I'm just trying different stuff with it until I find a rhythm that I really enjoy. You could be like toil, toil, toil of summer. Like you can repeat words, you can fragment words, you can say it a bunch of times in a row. Just play with speaking it aloud. See what happens if you try that for a second. So you're going to be intentionally setting a rhythm for your words without even applying pitch yet, which might feel really weird for some of you, like you've never done anything like that before. That's okay. Just go with it. You know, say yes to everything. That's my motto when it comes to writing. The next thing you're going to do is think about a sonic palette or a harmonic color or a key or an underlying scale from which to derive your melody that you're going to find. So now you're going to take your lyric rhythm and apply pitches. But before you even do that, I want you to be like, okay, what's the feeling of this song? Is it nostalgic? Is it elated? Is it, okay, how does that make me feel? A fast tempo or a slow tempo? Okay, what is it, a majory feeling? Is it a minory feeling I'm getting from this? If you understand, you know, the concept of finding underlying scales and using them, go for it, but that is not necessary in this context. And that is why I'm giving lots of different choices as far as how to feel about this, like sonic palette or harmonic color or just key, or just what's a key that makes sense for this song. And begin imagining if you feel that key to yourself or sort of that harmonic color, you can then take the idea of your rhythm, your lyric rhythm, and start using the exact same rhythm to move your voice around that key or that harmonic color. So was someone about to, I heard an unmuting. Did someone want to speak a second ago? Okay, that was maybe just somebody unmuting for a second. Okay, so using the lyric rhythm that you came up with, put it to a melody and develop a hook or refrain. So you can call that a hook, you can call it a refrain, you can call it the chorus, first line of the chorus, whatever it is, it's that moment that probably will be repeated the most in the song. It will be the part of the song that we remember the most, and it'll be the part that everybody wants to sing along with, at least in their heads. Okay, so the idea is to start rhythmically, then move that exact rhythm into your own pitches. It's a little bit methodical of an approach, but it takes you in a different direction maybe than you might go if you just started singing. So if I was using, I'm just going to give an example for this. If I was using, I'm going to go for a different one than Toil of Summer now. If I was using I'm Home, let's say my rhythm was 1, 2, 3. I'm home, I'm home. Okay, that's my rhythm. I'm home, I'm home. Well, that feels pretty stable to me, that idea. I'm not actually making a melody yet. I'm just feeling really like that's a super stable emotion. It doesn't feel, I feel happy about being home. I don't feel sad about it. So I might be majory, maybe not. Maybe you want to work ironically. You know, that's the other thing. You don't always have to have happy music with happy chords and happy, everything happy. That actually doesn't reflect life sometimes as much, right? So sometimes it's interesting to juxtapose opposites. Like, you know, it might be a really happy lyric with really sad chords, you know, something like that. So, you know, the emotion can be multifaceted, and the feeling and the harmony can be multifaceted. So if I were taking I'm home, and applying it to pitches, and I'm like, well, I'm going to pick a scale. So maybe I'm going to pick major, just because for the time being, it's a nice, stable feeling, maybe even major pentatonics. And if I'm doing an easy thing, like on the piano, it might be like just the key of C, that's super easy to play, or on the black notes, if I start on G flat, it's all the black notes, a major pentatonic. So how about the black notes? That's kind of fun. I'm home, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. I'm just trying different stuff to see what happens. I'm home, I'm home. So I want you to do exactly that. Like, see if you can kind of take that exact rhythm, apply pitches to it, optionally add harmony. You do not have to add harmony. You can just stick with a cappella for now, and develop a very small little lyric line moment or two lyric line moment of a hook or a refrain. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I'm going to give you literally like 1 minute to do this. See if you can just blurt something out and not think too much about it. That's the thing. That's why I'm giving you a nice short time limit. Just see what happens. You might pick up a guitar, you might sit at the keys, or you might just sing to yourself quietly or loudly, depending on where you are. All right. I'm going to stop talking and let you do that. How's it going? I'm going to get to gallery view so I can see everybody. I feel like I can't see everybody right now. There we go. That was really short, and I rushed you through that very quickly. But my question is there one person that would like to unmute and just show us what happened? Like maybe just sing for us for a second. Just get out the idea to the room. I know it's super scary because there's all these other people watching and you just figured something out, and it's like kind of vulnerable to do that. But yes, Silona.
Hi.
Hi.
Mine was You're Not Home as well.
You're not home. Aha. Cool.
You're not home.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yay. Thank you. Let's give hands. Anytime anybody shares vulnerable content you just figured out like that, I give a hand because that's great. Thank you. Maya, you want to do one?
Yeah, I would love to. It was fallen trees, something like that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I like how your voice is moving upward. That's pretty because it's like the falling is kind of the opposite sensation of that, but it's almost like you're reaching towards them or something with your voice. It's really pretty. All right, one more. How about Nobel? I'm not sure I'm saying your name correctly.
Yeah, Nobel. That's how you say it.
Great.
I'm searching for the clearer, searching for the clearer.
Woo. Searching for the clearer?
For the clearing, like clearing.
Oh, the clearing.
The forest.
Yeah, that's pretty. Nice melody. Nobel and Maya, I give you both a hand. Thank you. That was beautiful. All right. Yeah, I wish we had more time to keep going with this, but I need to move forward now. So hopefully that was the start of your next song. hopefully you got something out of that. If not, then, you know, keep looking back at your words. Sometimes a couple days later, if you look at the words you wrote, you have a totally different reaction to them. And you find all these different things that you didn't find before because you're so attached to them now. And then later you're not attached to them. So it really does help to be looking objectively, almost like you didn't write the words yourself. So that was fun. Now what I would like to do is take a moment and listen to one or two, maybe we'll get to two, I'll try. I'm going to randomly pick one or two of these YouTube links that I have here, and we're going to listen together. And then I'd like us all to listen together to the song. If possible, the one that I pick, it's just going to be random. So it would be great if there were lyrics available. And so I know I see about 5 different submissions up here. And I know the students who entered those submissions know who they are. So if possible, if you do have lyrics that you could share with us, either in the chat or by sharing your screen, that would be really helpful for me, because as I'm listening, it helps me to assimilate the whole song when I have the visual. It helps me to like see the form and structure and everything and respond to it well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the first one. The problem is
Barcelona. This is Barcelona. Just spoke here.
Sorry?
The first song is Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay.
Yes.
So I should not randomly pick. I should go for the first one in order. Okay.
And maybe she can send you the lyrics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, the lyrics are already in the YouTube page if you scroll
okay.
down.
Perfect. Thank you. That's great, Silona. Thank you. Whoop. Okay, so here is the, can you all hear that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Can.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and start this and then scroll down. This is the track, right? Yeah.
Silona, is this there?
It's a different one.
I don't know
No,
what
it's a
just happened.
different
I'm
one.
so sorry. I don't know what just happened. There we go.
Yeah, this one. This one.
It seems we always travel on roads that lead somewhere, but there are no roads. It feels as if there's someone reaching out, other than yourself, but there isn't. It feels as if there's someone reaching out. When you find thirst within you, longing for a breakthrough, you'll discover a pathway. When the smoke fades, you're left there as an island for eternity. Did it stop making sense now? At times when the sun is sinking low and darkness takes over, planting its sorrow, you feel as if what you have ever had is taken away from you. Was it worth it? How can you return to life in this charade? When you find thirst within you, longing for a breakthrough, you'll discover a pathway. When the smoke fades, you're left there as an island for eternity. Did Then the tears flow and block my mind. I'm somewhere unpredictable. Are you still gonna save me?
Yeah, beautiful, Solana. Yeah, lovely. Really nice. Writing. And I'm going to stop this quickly before it starts again and rewind. Sorry, that I should have stopped it. I got too excited. I forgot to press stop. Okay, so in listening to this, I really just think that there's some beautiful production going on at the moment. I think that there's what I look for often is this concept that we like to use at Berklee called prosody. And prosody, in terms of like literary, you know, definitions back in the old days, prosody just meant the connection between the rhythm of the words and the rhythm, you know, there was a certain rhythm that the words had, and how long that word, that line was what made the prosody, right? So in a Shakespeare sonnet, you would have, you know, iambic pentameter, and then that was a five strong stresses in the line, and that was the prosody of the sonnet. But now what we like to use for prosody, prosody, is prosody. I'll write it in the chat. What we like to say in terms of songwriting, prosody has a different meaning. So for us, this word means that all elements in the song work together towards a common goal or theme or message. So every aspect of the song is exemplifying the story or the idea of what the song is about. And most of the time, songs being about one main idea it's usually a stronger move, because you really only have like 1 minute and 47 seconds to 5 minutes to express yourself. So most of the time it's important to have one idea that you stick with throughout, and you keep that theme intact. So prosody is not just about the rhythm of the words, it's about how the message of the words relates to everything else going on in the song. And that was something that I felt pretty strongly in this, is that prosody was met in terms of production. It felt to me like the way that the pads were used, the sonic palette of using a minor key, is kind of like sort of mid-tempo feeling, gives sort of a melancholy vibe. It all felt like it, and kind of mysterious and sort of longing or yearning sensations. That felt like it was right in line with what the words were saying. So for me, that worked really well in terms of how this song is being produced and how it's working throughout, the entrances and exits of the instruments, and also some really nice intricate work with that, taking the drums away, you know, using reverb, having these moments of space and pause after lines, which was a beautiful moment that made us really have to sit back and say, okay, now I can contemplate what I just heard. So I heard a bunch of those moments as well, and I liked it. I also thought it was really interesting that you're using 5-measure phrases in the verses. So that's really unusual. You know, most of the time we have, 1-measure, 2-measure, or 4-measure phrases. So this was really cool how these lyrics, it was like we went to 4 measures, and then there wasn't a sort of an added tagline or like, extra measure for an extra lyric, which gave it a feeling of more imbalance for me. And that actually went along with the sort of loneliness feeling of this song, the sorrow, and sort of it felt to me like using that unexpected phrasing also matched the prosody of, in terms of like what the lyrics were saying. And so that worked really well. I think that there's one thing that I can suggest, and it actually is not about production at all. It's in terms of the melodic shapes. And this is about prosody, but it's about the melodies themselves working with the words. So it's good to recognize that where you sing the syllables of a word, it really changes the whole emotional dynamic of what those words are saying. So sometimes I literally sit there and I think of the, sort of the underlying key, and I find the same exact melody in different places in the key. So to know to somewhere, lead to somewhere, lead to somewhere, lead to somewhere, lead to some lead us somewhere, lead us somewhere. Like I'll just find different places in my voice for the same exact melody, but it's all kind of in that key. So that I can sort of look at, do I want to keep my voice here and be more stable? Or do I want to move my voice in a little bit more unstable territory? So there's these places in the song where I feel there might be there's room for a little bit more exploration of melodic work that you could do. That I feel guilty almost suggesting this because you've put such a beautiful production together and obviously released this song. And it sounds beautiful the way it is. So all these suggestions are merely if you were going to refine this and re-record it someday, but I also think this is just something generally to look at within your future writing. I think that you have a really amazing quality to your voice, and it has this gorgeous feeling that just it like speaks right to your heart as you're listening. And my thought was just, are there other parts of your voice that you could explore that perhaps you hadn't? And I also think this song may want to live just in that area, in that area of your voice. And that's part of the essence of this song. So I don't want to take away that essence or lead you down a direction that doesn't feel like natural, but I wanted to just explain. I'm going to play a little bit of it and explain what I mean as far as using, possibly trying out different locations for some of the melodic lines. So listening to those first 3 lines, roads that lead somewhere, there are no roads, right? So that's an interesting statement. There are no roads, right? That to me is not necessarily a stable idea. That's kind of taking us in this realm of like, I might be lost in this song. I might be like in a location. I'm not sure where I am. So right now what you have is you're in the key of D minor, right? It almost sounds like D Dorian, but D minor, right? So we have this do, that's do. If you're at Berklee, they make you do movable do. So D is do then. It's not the same as other places where C is always do. At Berklee, do is whatever the root of the key is. So that would be the 1 or do or the root, right? So what I'm noticing is that, there's certain habits that we as songwriters kind of get into without even realizing it. We kind of like, and some of those habits are good because they're establishing a signature sound for ourselves. That's like there's a reason why Picasso had a blue period. You know what I mean? He went through a whole phase, Pablo Picasso, only painting, blue, because he was really exploring that side of himself. So to a certain extent, repeating ideas or using certain elements or motives is good because it's establishing a sound for you as an artist. That said, I'm noticing that you have a tendency to move your voice back to do, often on the last word of each line. And that is something to just be aware of, because sometimes if you do that, right, and the chord is the 1 chord underneath, that is the most stable sound we could have, right? So I think it's worth a shot to just look at some of these lines. Are you saying something that is stable or unstable, right? Are you saying something that feels like, I want to land here and it's a relaxing feeling at the end of this line, or I want to say something that feels unresolved. So possibly that means the vocal might also stay unresolved, and really moving your voice to, and May is another one. F and D are the most stable places to go in this key, right? Because we're in D minor. So those are going to be your most stable places to land on. F being the minor third of the key, it's a little less stable, right? But it's going to still give that sensation of like, it's a cadence point, and a cadence is basically a resolution musically. We're making a musical resolution point, and that's melodically. That might not always be harmonically, right? But you can think separately, like the melody may be cadencing, but the chords are not, or vice versa. But if both cadence, we have a 1 chord and the vocal goes to the 1, we're going to feel a sense of like complete statement or resolution. So sometimes I think there's room in this song, especially for the voice not to do that always, depending on what you're saying. So that's something to really look through and just say, oh, I didn't realize I was singing that same note on a lot of these lines. Maybe it's just about a step away, or it's about also possibly what we call tessitura, or a different range of your voice. You could look at what I was saying earlier about sequencing some of these melodies in different locations within the key. Because if in this first line, it seems we always travel on roads that, right, could also be, it seems that we always travel on roads that, or it seems we always travel on roads that, like I can find different locations, right? It seems we always travel on roads that, like, I'm literally just taking your melody and kind of appropriating it to a different scale degree and trying it at that place. And I might change, the motive slightly when I do that, but it's more about moving the idea around if you're looking for other sort of parts of your voice to explore, because I think melodically, I was aching for a little bit of more contrast on some of the ends of the lines, and also like using a little bit more of your vocal range, just a little bit between sections. Like I think that each section should have its own characteristic, and that, when you get to a new section, you might want to just move your voice up a little bit, see what it sounds like to move a little bit higher at times, or a little bit lower to kind of find other pitch areas. But I also really love that this song kind of stays in that location of your voice. It feels like it works for the message. So I don't want you to move away from that too much. It was just the idea of maybe the ends of the lines, sort of the shape of the melody tending to land on that note that I noticed may not work exactly in prosody with some of the lines. And if we had more time, I would be able to go individually and look at specific words and different notes you could sing. But I think generally speaking, that's just something to try. My apologies, everyone. I am so bad at time management that I was not able to get to a second song critique today, but I'm offering this because I said I would do two. I would be happy to eventually listen to the second link and just give some text ideas and send them to Yehuda for feedback, because that was my fault for getting too excited about the writing exercise and taking too long. So I'm happy to do that in the next week or so, and just send that along if you're interested.
Great. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah,
Thanks
you're
so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. Salona, great to hear your song. Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful session. I wish it were 2 hours. I have to go teach arranging for songwriters now in this room.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Great energy. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you,
Ladies and
Jason.
gentlemen, we'll see you tomorrow. We have one more session for Berklee Week at Rimon with Marek Ditka from Admissions. And then we remind you, please be sure to follow us online at BerkleeGlobal. And you'll be able to catch up on all the cool things that we're doing remotely. We've got another session coming up next week as well with our graduate presidential scholar from the Ukraine, Shurhan Agabekov, or Han Bailey is his artist name. He's going to do a session next week on the music of Moam. So tomorrow, another day of Berklee Week at Rimon. Next week, we have the music of Moam, and we look forward to you joining us and following us online. And everybody at Rimon, be well, stay safe, everybody. We'll see you soon. Have a good evening.